And my millennial friends like to call me Mama K. It's a long story why they do that, but I actually kind of like it because I think you're all my chitlin. And Mama K is going to tell you how it is on her side of the street, okay? Today we're here with high-end tasting and teachings. We are a consulting company and a catering company. And we are committed to education. We're committed to empowering people. We believe that knowledge is power. And I truly believe when everyone is totally educated on the power of cannabis, it'll be legal in all 50 states. So that is really our intention. We believe in empowering people. When they are totally educated, they're able to make the right choices for themselves. We believe that medical marijuana has so many uses that people haven't even tapped into yet, and we want to see that happening. We believe in having fun and fabulous food, and our caterers can cook up just about anything cannabis infused that you could think of, and it'll be delicious. And we also do educational classes in cooking. This event that we're holding right now, there's actually places like 2 apartments here that you can rent if you want to participate in one of our cooking classes or something like that. We also believe, as I said, in fun, and I mean responsible fun. So we're going to be talking about that too. This episode, we're really going to be focusing on education because that's really what we are committed to, shifting the listening of the conversation out there regarding cannabis. Now you may notice that I say cannabis instead of marijuana. And you know, in the 70s, everyone was calling it marijuana. But if you look back, and our guest speaker will talk more about this, it was originally called cannabis. And I think it kind of brings it up a little, right? It raises it higher. I'd love to find out what is the listening, and you don't have to tell me if it's yours, but the culture, you know, the culture that we live in. If you looked at your neighbors and your friends and family, what do you think their listening of cannabis is?
Hippie.
Hippie, right. Do you think of Cheech and Chong driving in the car, right? Or remember that 70s show with the kids all in the basement, you know, having their circle time? You know, I don't know if you've been paying attention though, but recently you see people on TV. I saw recently on Doubt, 2 major lawyers, you know, smoking after their session. I mean, so I think things are shifting, but I don't think that people are seeing it as the gift that it is. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, well, so today I'm going to invite Dr. Uma up to speak with us. Dr. Uma is just an extraordinary doctor. I had her credentials in front of me, and now I've lost them. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about her history, but she is just taking charge of the medical marijuana arena, really educating people and helping many, many patients. So I welcome her tonight to speak with us.
This is exciting and a pleasure, and I would have never imagined being able to do something like this on a Sunday afternoon, right? Here in Lincoln, Massachusetts. I'm Dr. Uma Dhanabalan, and I am known as Dr. Uma because my last name is very long. I trained in Massachusetts here from 1998 to approximately 2003. I did my master's in public health and then did my second life as an occupational environmental medicine physician and got very much interested in heavy metals, primarily lead and beryllium. But prior to that, I'm a family doctor, so a regular doctor. And I went to medical school in New Jersey, and I did my residency in Charleston, South Carolina. And throughout all of these years, I never, ever learned about a beautiful system known as the endocannabinoid system. How many of you have heard about this? Awesome. Awesome. Most of my healthcare providers that we work with, and most of them that you know, and my colleagues, have never heard about it. I didn't either. And this journey is what's made me so passionate about it. It was about 6 years ago, my mom was dying of an illness known as idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Fancy term for we don't know what caused your lung disease. My mom had never smoked. She had really never worked in an occupation that would have caused her lung disease. And she was one of those people that exercised She never ate red meat. She was never overweight, and they so-called the right things. That she had thyroid problems, she was diabetic, she had cholesterol problems, she had Lyme's disease, and then what killed her was the idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. But it was her that got me involved in this, actually. It sounds like yesterday, I could hear her saying, they're using ganja. What is she talking about, ganja? And I beelined it into the bedroom. And it was about Israel using cannabis for COPD, asthma, lung cancer, and PTSD.
That's hard to believe, right?
Yes, and that's where my thoughts were. Why would you, first of all, smoke if you can't breathe? And then why would you smoke weed, right? Then I had to stop and think. Right, Rose, what do we give our patients? What do we give our patients? We give them an inhaler, right?
Steroids.
And steroids, thank you very much. So what do they do? I had to think. Well, an inhaler bronchodilates you, opens you up, right, so you can breathe. That's what they use for rescue, a rescue inhaler, we say, right? Or something that you inhale all the time, every day. And then those lovely steroids, what do? When you get really sick, they give you, bring down the inflammation, right? So, you mean to tell me smoking cannabis bronchodilates you and brings down your inflammation? That was my aha moment. And I was working at the world's largest cleanup site for plutonium. So there I was working as a family doctor, occupational medicine, and on top of it, I caught people for testing positive for that chemical known as THC, right? I was on a federal site. And that's where this drug is today, folks, in Schedule 1, along with heroin, LSD, and ecstasy. And that's where it's been since 1970. So let's talk a little bit about history. So I want you guys to walk away with 5 facts, okay? And I want to say some disclaimer. I want to say safety first and do no harm, okay? And I want you people to understand you don't need to use this plant, but I want you to open your hearts because you know somebody that can benefit from this. I want you to open your minds because I'm going to tell you about the endocannabinoid system that is within our bodies. Okay? 5 facts. Nobody has ever died from this plant in the world. And it's been around for over 10,000 years.
That's amazing.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Right? Fact number 1. Fact number 2. This was actually prescribed by doctors. Today, I can't write a prescription for it because it's in Schedule 1, along with heroin, LSD, and ecstasy. I can write a recommendation for it. And it was prescribed, and it was in the pharmacopoeia, the United States Pharmacopoeia from 1850 to 1942. That's not that long ago. Okay? Fact number 3. The United States of America has a patent for cannabinoids as an antioxidant and neuroprotectant. Isn't that convenient? They've known about this and they've had the patent since October 7th, 2003. Patent number 6630507. Okay? The other thing that I say, cannabis is not for everybody, but I believe it should be a first-line option, not the last resort. And number 5, cannabis is not an entrance drug. It's an exit drug from pharmaceuticals and narcotics. Okay? Those are the 5 things I want you to know. So let's talk a little bit about history. I told you that my mother was watching this program about Israel, right? Well, that's where the story begins. Dr. Raphael Mechoulam, in 1964, in Israel, started to learn about cannabis, and he identified THC as the psychoactive. I've gotten away from using that word psychoactive. I call it the intoxicating portion, or the extreme. And CBD as the non-intoxicating, and CBNs to about 1/10 of the intoxicating property. It wasn't until 1988 that we identified receptors. Wow. The first one was called cannabinoid receptor 1, and it was primarily in the brain. A few years later, they discovered a second one, cannabinoid receptor 2, and it was in the immune system, right there. And then they said, wait, so you mean to tell me a plant is outside, growing around, been around for thousands of years. We didn't know how it worked. They gave it to people. People either got very happy or paranoid or no reaction. Didn't do anything to some people, right? And then they find out that there's receptors in the body. So you need to tell me there's a plant outside and there's receptors. Why would you have receptors in your body for something that's outside? So the search went on. And then they realized our body made its own cannabinoids. And they called it endocannabinoids. The first one that was identified was called anandamide. And I love this story. So in Israel, again, Dr. Raphael Meshulam, who identified THC in 1964, was the one that identified the first endocannabinoid. And he said they couldn't find the proper word for joy, because that's what it is, right? Cannabis gives you happiness, joy, bliss. So they had to go to the Sanskrit language, and they found the word ananda. Anandamai means eternal bliss, joy. And that's how they made it, anandamai. A few years later, they identified more. So what we have is endocannabinoids, phytocannabinoids, and synthetics. Synthetics are things that are made in a laboratory, and too much of them will kill you. Those are things like Marinol that are still around and have been around since the late 80s. And this was a synthetic drug that was made for treatment of people that use chemotherapy. So there's synthetics, too much of them will kill you. There's our lovely plant, phytocannabinoids, too much of them will never kill you. And our endocannabinoids, and we just don't produce enough of them. So all three of them work with our receptors. And these receptors are throughout our body. And that's why cannabis works for so many people. Now, we've heard about dopamine and serotonin, right?
Yeah.
So a nervous system, a lot of people understand. So there's presynaptic and postsynaptic. So things like dopamine and serotonin are made from the presynaptic. They're released and they bind to receptors on the postsynaptic. But our body's endocannabinoids, they're made on demand. Limited in amount, but they're made from the postsynaptic and they bind to the pre. So they work in retrograde. So I explain this beautiful endocannabinoid system with endocannabinoids, with receptors and things that make them or break them down as our endocannabinoid system. I describe it in one word: life, homeostasis, balance. Those are the words that we use. Dr. DiMaggio uses 5 beautiful words. He says the endocannabinoid system is meant for us to relax, eat, sleep, forget, and protect. So let's look at those words. We said balance. So if your muscle is in a constant spasm, or it's flaccid, imbalance. If you eat too much or not enough. If you sleep too much or not enough. What if you forgot too much? Alzheimer's, dementia. But what if you don't forget enough? We have people that suffer from PTSD. I suffer with it myself. If I remember the day my mother died, people that have come back from war, if they remember those incidents. So it's equally important to forget as it is to remember. Jokingly, I always say, if a woman remembers childbirth, you think we'd ever have sex again? So, equally important, protection. If your body overprotects, autoimmune illnesses, we're hearing about MS, cystic fibrosis, rheumatoid arthritis. These are all when our body overprotects. What if your body doesn't protect enough? What if you've been through chemotherapy, radiation, or even things like diabetes, right? Under protection. So let's look at those 5 words again. Relax, eat, sleep, forget, and protect. So the endocannabinoid system is about life. So what I practice today is called total health care, THC. So THC is that psychoactive or intoxicating component, but it is much needed. So what we practice is three words: educate, embrace, and control. So I'm going to stop here and open it up to questions.
Oh, great. I'm very interested in asthma because my husband has asthma and that's always baffled me. So would you smoke it or would you?
Excellent. That's an excellent segue in how do we use it.
Yeah.
Right? So how do we consume this beautiful plant? You can inhale it. And people don't realize over 90% of most medications in an acute setting are inhaled. So think about this. If you get oxygen, put a mask on you. If you get anesthesia, they put a mask on you. Any of these treatments, a nebulizer, they put a mask on you. So asthma is actually two components. There could be a restrictive component and also an obstructive component. So you get exposed to something and it could cause a reaction and you can't breathe. Fluid accumulates. So what you're looking for at that point is to bring down the inflammation and open you up. And that's how cannabis works, right? So as uncanny as it may seem, and just like, oh my God, why would you do that? Think about it. When you're hitting that inhaler, that's what it's doing. So a lot of my patients love to smoke it. And smoking is an irritant, but it actually works very quick and it's a rapid onset. Some people like to vaporize it. It's less irritating. But again, you're inhaling. Quick, short acting, but it acts very rapidly and it lasts for a short period of time.
So with asthma, you want to inhaling either vapor or is the best way as opposed to taking a pill or oils or something
They
like
can
that.
take
That's
much
going to take longer.
Right, and
Yes.
some people take capsules to prevent, because what's really happening, what we're understanding is that this system that I've talked about, this endocannabinoid system, doesn't work properly. We're finding out that there could be a dysfunction. And a doctor by the name of Dr. Ethan Russo has studied this. And he has said if there's a dysfunction or deficiency, migraines, IBS, fibromyalgia, and we're finding out even more illnesses can be related to a deficiency. And if there's an overactivity, also we're finding out obesity or even addictions can be related to this. And that's another thing that I just want to touch upon. We are facing an opioid epidemic right now. And I've been calling cannabis the addiction, the exit drug, because we are using this for our patients to help them lower and even eliminate their opioids. And we know this. We know in the states where you have medical marijuana and you have dispensaries, not just having the laws, you need the dispensaries open, then we've seen 25% decrease in opioid consumption.
Wow.
People are living longer, and there was just a recent study that came out that 93% of people, if they had the option, cannabis, they would prefer this over their other medications.
Wow.
But safety first,
Yeah.
and do no harm.
That's great. Thank you very much.
So this is, again, a journey, folks. But I want you folks to understand that cannabis is in Schedule 1 in the United States of America because of 3 reasons, they said. That there's no medical use in the United States, lie. Number 2, that there's no medical research in the United States, lie. And the potential for abuse. Well, anything can be abused, folks. And that's another discussion known as addiction, okay? But anything can be abused. But that's why we need to educate, right? We have alcohol that's legal, folks, and we've got cannabis that's illegal. You go to every home, you go to events, children see their parents consuming alcohol, right? Or if you have a child that has a peanut allergy, there's homes with peanuts in it, right? It's about educating. So let's change the stigma. So let's talk about that. Stigma. It's a set of negative or unfair beliefs that a group of people or society has against something. And that something is cannabis. Okay? So ask your doctors, ask your friend, what do you know about cannabis? Okay? So share these facts. So this is what I say, reach one, teach 10.
You know, when you talk to anybody who has done cannabis, and has done alcohol, and you ask them, tell me the times that you have been on cannabis and you've done something stupid or regret, right? You can all look for yourself. And tell me some time with alcohol. I have yet to find anybody who has ever done anything they regret when they were on cannabis. I personally can't think of a thing. Yet I can think of a dozen things I've done when I was drunk. You know, so it's so crazy that people think that is.
It's really interesting you bring that up because my population is changing. It's the seniors that are becoming the largest population that are growing. And many of my patients, not just decreasing their prescriptions and their pharmaceuticals and losing weight, they're giving up their alcohol.
Yeah.
I have a lot of my people that say, you know, Dr. It's not an interest of mine. And if I have the option to medicate and use cannabis, that's what they prefer. But again, it's that stigma.
We had one patient that came in for, I work in a dispensary, Armont in Quincy, and he wanted lozenges that he could put in with his soda water, so when he goes out with his drinking buddies,
wow.
he has his own drink and can get like a little buzz on, but he's not doing alcohol. And we had
Cannabis Foods.
not only an exit, a lot of people getting off of opioids and pain meds and like decades, they're losing
Yes.
teeth and hair,
Oh.
and they have to, and other people that are willingly. But the other one is alcohol. People are, you know, maybe deciding that they feel so much better the next day.
Absolutely. And you know, this is the thing that I feel very passionate about is that the man that was involved with all of this was a man by the name of Harry Anslinger. And I kind of like to talk about this story because cannabis was food, fuel, fiber, paper, and medicine in this country. And up until 1937, it was a part of our society, and they created a marijuana stamp tax. In the 1600s, people were mandated to grow cannabis. If you didn't, you went to jail, and today people go to jail for growing cannabis, right? So it was food, fuel, fiber, paper, and medicine. And we replaced it with synthetics. And they have names. The Hearst family, the DuPonts, Rockefeller, Carnegie, Mellon, and the badass mouthpiece was Harry Anslinger. He was the person that changed this, created the gateway concept. He was known as the architect of prohibition. He was the guy that said reefer makes darkies think they're as good as white men. Murder, insanity, death. And they had the Hearst family who had their agenda, right? They wanted to create the paper mill. They didn't want hemp to be paper. And you know what they also did? There was a machine called the decorticator that was created. And the Hearst family squashed the patent because back then, production of hemp was a very labor-intensive process. And this machine was needed and could be able to process it. They squashed it because they wanted to produce paper. And people don't realize if hemp was around today, I truly believe we wouldn't have half the illnesses, all of these plastics. I believe cannabis is the plant for the planet. Truly. I believe we can change things around. I believe we can make it a better place for our children and our future generation if we can get the information. And I beg of you folks, take this information, share it. And the information is out there. There's this thing called the World Wide Web, folks. www, World Wide Web. And there's information on PubMed, P-U-B-M-E-D. They can look this up. There's over 25,000 research articles. So don't believe the hype that there is no research, okay? And I'm not political. And that's why I believe I shouldn't be doing certain things. I shouldn't be fixing people's plumbing. That's why the politicians shouldn't be telling me how to practice medicine. And this is insanity that our patients can't access this medicine. Why should your zip code dictate your access to this medicine, right? You can carry your pills all the way across the country, but you can't take your cannabis across state lines. Another conversation.
Well, here we are in the kitchen. We didn't have a chance to show you all of the cooking, all the steps, and we'll do that in other episodes. We're actually going to do another episode where we're going to show you how to make your own canna butter. But all of these dishes here were made with canna butter. We have 2 different quiches. We have a zucchini and Gouda and cheddar quiche, and we have a mushroom spinach pesto and bacon quiche. And then we have a quiche here for people who don't want to have an infused quiche, and that's just the zucchini, Gouda, and cheddar cheese. We have hash browns, and what we did today, because we had a different group of, varied, some people want infused food, some people don't, we'll be adding the cannabis onto the hash browns as we serve them. So if you don't want cannabis, it's fine, that's set. And then the fruit salad is, completely just fruits and some nuts and a great dressing. And let's see what else. And then for dessert, we're going to be having brownie cookies and chocolate chip mint ice cream infused with cannabis. So the quiche, the hash browns, the brownies, and the ice cream will be infused. If you don't want infused, there's quiche, hash browns, fruit salad, and there are also brownie and gelato that's not infused, all right? We recommend that when you're eating, as the doctor said, start slow. Most people, when you eat food that's infused with cannabis, it's going to take you anywhere from, half an hour to a good hour to really feel it. So that's why you can start with the quiche, and then if you want to add some more at the end with dessert, you'll be able to do that. All right, we're back, and we're going to do round 2 for those of you who are up for it. We have cannabis infused brownie cookies, and we have plain brownies, and the plain brownies are gluten-free. And you can have more fruit salad. We also have cannabis infused chocolate mint ice cream.
No more than half a spoonful.
Oh, really? Okay, so go light on that. So that could be kind of like a little topper. And then we have a couple of flavors of gelato here, and we have homemade whipped cream. We also have coffee and tea. We have to keep on hydrating, right, Dr. Uma?
Always hydrate before, during, and after.
That's right. Well, it was wonderful having you here. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Just a little teaser. We're going to have a guest chef who was on Bakers versus Fakers. So see you next time. Have a great day.